In 1998, I landed my dream job at the Jim Henson Company. And as you can imagine, I was psyched, stoked. I had the opportunity to work on Muppets from Space, Bear in the Big Blue House, Sesame Street Season 30. It was a magical place to work, and I couldn't have been more thrilled to have been there. But what you don't know is that the Jim Henson Company is actually a giant marketing engine. That's right. They create amazing content, phenomenal content. I mean, Sesame Street, come on, genius. They actually just churned out unbelievable content, completely designed to sell licensing product. And that's where the bulk of their money was always made, in licensing. So everything from the Elmo, Tickle Me Elmo doll, or Big Bird backpack, Bear in the Big Blue House books, Bear in the Big Blue House coloring books, Bear in the Big Blue House stuffed plush doll. That's where the cash was. So great content created great marketing for them. Now, this isn't a new phenomenon. In fact, in the 1960s, when Disney released their first film, 101 Dalmatians, they created what was called the Dalmatian effect. Seriously, people went out and purchased Dalmatians only to realize that they're kind of crappy pets. And if you think it doesn't relate anymore, the Nemo movie, Finding Nemo, when that was released, there was a huge influx of interest in buying clownfish. And it actually decimated the world population of clownfish round and round. So, marketing lesson number one, great content sells great products. At the Jim Henson Company, we were all told that focus builds character. You may not realize this just looking at a Muppet, but Muppets' eyes aren't actually straight. Seriously, look right here. Their eyes. Don Saleen was the Muppet builder in the 70s who came up with this concept that to give a puppet focus, you actually couldn't center the eyes. You had to build them around what was called the magic triangle. And this was the relationship between the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. Now, it's a really, really revolutionary concept because when the puppet was looking into the camera, it looked like it was looking at you. I'm looking at you, like that. That's what they had to do. So as a marketer, I want you to think about having a focus that may be just a little off center instead of just that marketing junk you push out anyway, to help you bring focus to your marketing efforts, but in a way that your audience maybe doesn't expect. And that is a powerful marketing message. So remember, lesson number two, focus builds character. Number three, see what they see. If you're a puppeteer and you're trying to get that eye focus really right, they have to get the puppet looking into the camera's eyes. They actually have to look at a monitor on the floor so that they know when the character's actually looking at the camera. That's cool. This is a revelation because Muppeteers are actually consuming the content they're creating as they're creating it. It means that they're looking at the audience's perspective of what they're performing through the camera. Now let's make this relatable. If you think like that as a marketer, you need to start consuming what your customer consumes. You need to see what they see on a regular basis if you're going to be effective. So as a marketing lesson from the Muppets, lesson number three would be, see what they see. Lesson number four, the hook comes first. Now, in the 70s, when Jerry Nelson, who's one of the best puppeteers ever, sat down to create a new character with one of the Sesame Street writers, he needed to come up with something special. He was going to create a vampire that was obsessed with counting. What Frank Oz always told Muppeteers was that if you come up with a unique hook, a unique laugh for your character, you can build a whole entire character around that laugh. At that meeting, Jerry Nelson sat down with the writer and came up with a laugh for his count. And it was a very distinctive laugh. 3, and Count Von Count was born. Now think about all the characters you know from the Muppets, right? You've got Kermit the Frogs, he's got that little sheesh laugh, right? Waka waka waka, Fozzie the Bear, or you've even got Elmo and his very distinctive high-pitched laugh. That's the Elmo laugh, or Bernie and Ert with their typewriter type style laughs. All of those are unique hooks that you can build a character around. If you're a marketer, think like Jerry Nelson and Frank Oz. Think of the one thing that's going to make your content unique and build around that. So a marketing lesson from the Muppets would be, the hook comes first. Marketing lesson number 5, finding the inner value in your organization. Now at the Muppet organization, you don't have to stand on a set of a movie production or a television show for long to realize that a bulk of the comedy when you're on that set comes from the puppeteers themselves underneath the puppets. It's pure hilarity, and not all of it is G-rated comedy. There are just things that puppets can say that people can't, and it works. Now, Brian Henson, Jim Henson's son, realized this in the late 2000s, and he came up with this genius idea of taking it on a comedy tour, stuffed and unstrung, and he called it 2 shows in 1. Essentially, you had the puppets above and the puppeteers below creating 2 shows that were equally entertaining. You can actually see the puppeteers in full view performing for a camera in 2 giant big screens, and it creates this really multi-layered piece of comedy where the performers themselves are visible to view and the puppets on the screens create their own show devoid of the puppeteers below them. They looked deep inside their organization to realize that there was comedy happening that they couldn't capitalize on it unless they turned it into a live show. Now, this is a genius piece of marketing. So if you're going to be successful as a content marketer or a marketer in general, maybe you need to spend some time looking beneath your organization to find all the great things that happen that your customers never even knew existed and show it to them. Look deep inside your organization to find any opportunity for creating great content.